a brief background onto why we started VIZBI, what happened last year, a little bit why we're here, and what's going to happen over the next couple of days. So very much what Eric said is exactly what we had in mind. In fact, we were particularly focusing on the aspect of how are we going to integrate different kinds of visualization together. And there was a key moment in a conversation, myself and Jim Proctor at ISMB 2008, we realized the tools that visualize data aren't going to start talking to each other until the people that make those tools start talking to each other. And there is no natural forum for that currently. And that's basically what we set out as our raison d'etre for VIZBI. So what we decided to do was to try to get into the same room a bunch of people that have succeeded in creating tools across a wide area of biology that have high impact. So these are people who have succeeded in actually making tools that are widely used for visualization in a huge range of areas. And in addition, and not to exclude them, also to bring in people who perhaps are not making tools, but are very actively using tools and have succeeded in using those tools to create a significant breakthrough in biology. So we bring together tool developers and users, and given the breadth of the scope that we have, we're talking about data from genomes, transcripts, proteins, cells, organisms, all the way through to population and evolution. How are we all going to understand what this conversation is about? So we asked speakers to give a talk that they'd probably never given before. We said, please don't just talk about your own work. Of course, we do want to hear that, but broaden your scope in your field, because most of us in the audience don't understand your field, and tell us what you think is the state of the art in visualization, the challenges and limitations for your area. Effectively, to give a kind of a review. And as a result, you'll find that I think almost all the talks will be comprehensible to a general audience. In addition to this, these were the talks I mentioned before were from different areas of biology. We also wanted to bring in a number of keynote speakers. And these speakers come often from sort of outside of biology, often computer science. For example, the whole area of usability. This is kind of like a horizontal theme that's relevant to everyone in the room. We also have a talk on design and a talk on outreach, this activity of using visuals to communicate to a broader audience. So this was the definition of the VIZBI forum last year. We got funding from the European Molecular Biology Organization and had the first meeting at the EMBL in Heidelberg, Germany. We were successful in attracting a really convincing group of scientists who, as I mentioned, had really made a significant impact in their own particular fields. And as part of that activity and making the VIZBI meeting not just an exclusive meeting for the people who happen to turn up, but to try to bring the information presented at VIZBI to a broader audience, we've put a fair bit of effort into trying to create a web resource that can communicate this. And if you go to vizbi.org/2010, you'll be able to access most of the PowerPoint presentations from last year. And in fact, in most cases, we have the videos from last year. And this year, we plan to do the same. We're planning to video the talks, and when the speakers agree, we'll make those videos publicly available on the website again. So that's so much for the meeting. But in terms of a publication outcome, we sent around various proposals, because essentially what we have is a collection of review talks. And if we were to publish something from that, that would be a collection of reviews. So I think you will be getting, or have already got, a free copy of this Nature Methods Focus issue that we created as a published outcome of last year's meeting. And this issue received significant attention. In fact, the chief editor of Nature Methods was at VIZBI 2010, was here yesterday, and he mentioned to me that actually it's been one of the most successful focus issues ever published by the Nature Publishing Group. It received that much attention. So from this, we realized that we really hit a nerve, that this meeting needs to happen again soon. Last year probably wasn't the definitive meeting. We have to keep going. So we immediately asked for money from the NIH, and as Bang mentioned, we were awarded a conference series for covering the next 3 years. The plan is this will be in the odd years over the next 3 years, and we've actually put in an application for the EMBO, the European Molecular Biology Organization, back in Europe, and we'll find out next month. I hope and I trust we will get this funding to cover the European side of this also for conference series. So again, this year we were successful in bringing together a very convincing group of tool developers and users and keynote speakers, as you will find out in the next few days. And what can we do as a published outcome? Well, we couldn't, unfortunately, publish a focused issue of Nature Methods every year. However, we debated what to do for some time, and myself and Jim reluctantly decided that the next step forward is really to write a book. And we put a proposal together and sent it around to a number of publishers, and I'm very happy to say that we got Cambridge University Press. We've made an agreement with them to publish a book which will be essentially an expanded version of the Nature Methods special issue from last year. In this case, what was before a section will now become a book chapter. And we've assigned, between the speakers we had last year and the speakers we have this year, they will form the sort of the major authors of these different chapters. And during this meeting, we're going to sort of finalize the chapter assignments with various people. Most have been assigned, but still a few up in the air. And as an invitation to you, if you would like to be involved, contact me myself or Jim, and we'll coordinate with the chapter authors and see if that's going to be possible. So, because of the community nature of this, the Nature Methods focus issue, for example, as I mentioned, with all the attention it received, we see that as a resource for the community. Primarily, what we're doing there is reviewing state-of-the-art, listing the tools that are available, and having some commentary on where each of those tools have their strengths and weaknesses. And what we wanted to do with the book was not just publish a printed book that sits on a shelf and you have to go and buy. We really insisted, and it was part of our selection criteria for a publisher, that it be also available freely online in an open access model, and we've got that. So this will be a resource that the whole community can immediately benefit from. Our goal is to publish this by next year. Hopefully for next year's VIZBI back in Heidelberg, there will be a printed book on the desk. That's a challenge that awaits us over the next coming months. So this year, we've kept a similar format. We added an aspect, particularly now that we've got Bang Wong very much on board. We wanted to bring in a kind of a new community, not perhaps throughout the entire meeting all the time, but I think many of us here would agree that it's very important that we engage people from outside of science, graphic designers. I myself have benefited hugely from the association with them. We want to bring them somehow into this community, and this is Art of Biology event on Thursday night is designed particularly to attract these people, graphic artists as well as medical illustrators. So now to come to the keynote, the first keynote from VIZBI last year. We asked everyone to identify what was the key challenge in their field with visualization, and pretty much as we've just heard, and as you could guess anyway, that one of the key common factors that we have in all of the fields of biology, all the active research fields, is how do we manage visual complexity?